Have you ever met someone who talks about big dreams, success, money, a completely different life? They imagine it clearly, they believe they're capable of it, but somehow nothing actually changes. Psychology says this isn't just laziness. There are deeper reasons behind it. Unless you break this loop, your dream life remains a fantasy, designed to keep you comfortable. We've all met this person. Maybe you see them in the mirror. They have notebooks filled with pristine, multicolored business plans.
They talk passionately about the gym routine they're starting next Monday. We are going to be so fit. I've got the whole plan ready.
They can describe their 5-year plan with vivid, cinematic clarity. They possess massive ambition, undeniable intellect, and a deep, genuine belief that they are meant for something monumental. Yet, if you check back in 6 months or 2 years, absolutely nothing has changed. The notebooks are still clean. The gym membership remains unused. The grand life exists entirely within the borders of their own skull. In mainstream productivity culture, we have a very simple, lazy word for this: laziness. We call it a lack of discipline. We tell people to just do it. But cognitive psychology tells a completely different, far more sinister story. This isn't a failure of willpower. It is a highly sophisticated defense mechanism, executed by your own brain, to understand why brilliant people do absolutely nothing. We have to look at a psychological phenomenon known as intentional substitution. When you fantasize about your goals, whether a financial milestone or creative masterpiece, your brain undergoes a massive neurological miscalculation. Neuroscientists track brain activity and found that the brain struggles to differentiate between a vividly imagined memory and reality. When you tell everyone about your big plans, or design your perfect digital workspace, your brain releases a steady stream of dopamine. It tastes the satisfaction of completion. It feels the warmth of social validation when people say, "Wow, that sounds amazing, you're gonna do great." Mechanically, your brain believes you've already won. You've harvested the neurochemical reward without ever leaving your couch. The reward has been delivered. The biological urgency to do the hard, grueling physical work drops to zero. Why run a marathon when your brain just gives you the gold medal for sitting down? This is the first layer of the trap. You are confusing the mental architecture of a dream with actual construction. But the illusion of progress is only a surface-level symptom. Deeper into human behavioral psychology, we find a much darker force: the weaponization of perfectionism. Most chronic planners don't suffer from a lack of ambition. They suffer from an excess of it. They are deeply terrified of what happens when their perfect dream collides with messy reality. Think about it. As long as your novel remains unwritten in your mind, it is a masterpiece. It's a New York Times bestseller. It has no plot holes or clunky sentences. It has no critical reviews. It is flawless. But the second you open a blank document and type the first sentence, that sentence will likely be mediocre. It will be profoundly imperfect. For a highly sensitive, ambitious person, that sudden drop from.
There is a quiet magic in these moments. A gentle warmth that settles deep within the heart, if you just let it. The world felt softer here, bathed in the warm light of the afternoon sun. It was a perfect moment of peace. Is an emotional crisis. To protect your self-image and avoid risking your identity.
As a rule, the narrator is voiceover only. Never render the narrator visually and never trigger lip sync for narrator dialogue.
In the quiet warmth of the studio, she found her masterpiece. Painting her dreams one stroke at a time. Your ego steps in with a brilliant compromise.
Let's just stay in the planning phase. As long as we are just preparing, the dream remains perfect. We haven't failed. Psychologists call this self-handicapping. It is a subconscious strategy where we create obstacles or delays so that if we fail, we can blame the lack of timing or preparation rather than our own innate capability. You aren't avoiding the work because you're lazy.
You're avoiding the work
because you are terrified of discovering that your reality
might not match your potential.
This brings us to the third psychological barrier, which is perhaps the most common lie.
Hold in the self-improvement space, the cult of readiness. We live under the cultural delusion that action is driven by inspiration.
We assume the sequence looks like this: inspiration, motivation, then action.
You believe you need to wait for the perfect alignment of stars, the right emotional state, a clear mental runway, an overwhelming surge of internal fire before you can begin.
I'll start when things settle down at work.
In today's rapidly changing world, finding moments of peace in the workplace has become essential for maintaining productivity and well-being.
But behavioral psychology reveals that this sequence is completely inverted.
Motivation does not precede action. Action precedes motivation.
Until you wait. The human brain is hardwired for homeostasis. It actively resists discomfort and change.
It will never want to wake up at 5 a.m. to work on a business
That might fail. It will never feel ready to step into a room where it might look foolish. By waiting for readiness, you ensure that the perfect time never arrives. You become an infinite consumer of information, watching endless tutorials, buying courses, and reading books, under the false assumption that more knowledge will grant you courage. It won't. Information without execution is just an intellectual security blanket. If you've been trapped in this cycle for months or years, you've likely noticed a strange paradox. You are constantly exhausted, even though you haven't actually done anything. You wake up tired, you spend the day overwhelmed, and you go to bed mentally drained. How is it possible to feel completely burnt out by a life?
You haven't even started building yet?
The answer lies in the heavy metabolic cost of cognitive friction. When you overthink every single step, simulate every possible failure, map out every scenario, and constantly debate whether you should do option A or B, your prefrontal cortex is working at maximum capacity. Your brain doesn't care that these actions are purely hypothetical, is burning real glucose and expending real energy processing these imaginary crises. By the time you actually clear your schedule to sit down and work, your mental battery is completely depleted. You have already lived through 100 failed versions of the project in your mind.
You are exhausted by the sheer weight of your own thoughts.
So you look at the screen, feel an overwhelming wave of resistance, and retreat to something easy, like scrolling social media or clean structuring your to-do list. You mistake mental fatigue for physical inability. Now, let's look at the deepest, most foundational reason why you might be stuck. It has nothing to do with your habits, your tools, or your environment. It has everything to do with your identity.
Your brain possesses a powerful subconscious mechanism called cognitive dissonance. This is the psychological discomfort you feel
When your actions do not align with your core beliefs about who you are. The brain will do everything in its power to eliminate this discomfort, usually by forcing your behavior to match your self-image. If you secretly view yourself as someone who is disorganized, someone who never finishes what they start, or doesn't deserve high-level success,
Your brain will view any massive productive action as a threat to its internal identity.
if you start making real, rapid progress, a subconscious alarm goes off. Wait, this isn't who we are. We are the underdog. We are the person who struggles. This success feels unfamiliar and unsafe. To resolve this conflict, you will find incredibly creative ways to self-sabotage.
You will get sick right before an important deadline.
You will suddenly decide a project.
isn't aligned with your passion.
This is Channel 5 News. Tonight, we explore the vibrant new trends in digital illustration and how they are shaping the future of entertainment.
You aren't struggling to achieve your goals because you lack talent. You are struggling because real action requires you to murder the old version of yourself and step into the shoes of someone completely new.
The human ego would often rather stay safely miserable than risk the terrifying unknown.
Of becoming someone else.
This leads us to the ultimate realization, the peak psychological truth that separates those who dream from those who execute. Many people are fundamentally addicted to their potential, not to effort.
Having potential is a beautiful, intoxicating drug.
It allows you to carry yourself with a secret sense of superiority.
It lets you think.
If I actually tried, I could be better than all of these people.
It keeps you warm at night because you can always comfort yourself.
With the idea of a brilliant future that is just around the corner.
But potential is completely worthless if it remains unrefined. Real progress is not a series of cinematic montages accompanied by inspiring music. Real progress is incredibly boring. It is repetitive. It is uncomfortable. It is sitting at a desk, typing sentences that feel flat, editing code that keeps breaking, or lifting weights that feel heavy, day after day, without any immediate applause or validation.
When you stay attached to the idea of who you could be,
you choose comfort over reality. You choose a beautiful lie over a difficult truth.
You choose to face a lifetime of.
What if the world wasn't as it seemed? What then? Finding moments of tranquility is essential for mental well-being, especially in today's fast-paced world.
Having big dreams isn't rare, but turning them into reality is. And the difference isn't talent, it's the ability to act.
And even when your mind is working against you,